morning and welcome to this week's video. Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple tote. What I'm working with is fat quarters, and if you watched any of my previous videos you know that I work with fat quarters a lot. I have like a chevron style purple. It's like purple, gray, dark purple. It's got some white in it. It's 18 by 21 inches. So I have two of those pieces. I am going to do a lining, so I have two more 18 by 21 inch pieces that I'm going to use for my inside lining. I also have some straps here that are 37 inches. I have two straps, and basically what I'm using for my straps today is just grosgrain ribbon. You can use whatever you want to do your straps, and I have cut here 11 by 8.5 inch pockets that I'm going to put on the outside of my bag. So what we're going to do is start off by placing our pockets on first, and then we're going to attach our lining to the outside of our tote. It's really simple, really easy. This is a really quick project. You can make a ton of these in a matter of minutes. So what I like to do for my pockets is just turn over. You want to make sure that you're putting your pockets on the right side. And if I didn't say, my fat quarters are 100% cotton, so that's what I'm working with. And you could turn yours over as far as you want. I'm turning mine over about 1/4 inch, and I'm going to do that on each side. And just iron it down, and you want to make sure that all your fabric that you're working with is ironed. And you can use any type of fabric for your tote. I just so happen to be working with a fat quarter. Now for the bottom part, I'm going to turn that over about 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to turn over the top portion. I like to do my sides first. I don't know why, that's just how I like to do it. I know it's pretty gloomy, pretty cold outside. We have a lot of snow right now, but it's never too early to start preparing for summer. This is like a cute little tote bag that you can make and take to the park or take with you to the beach, or you know, whatever you want to do with it. So we're going to start, you know, trying to prepare for summer really soon in this house. I got a lot of stuff I need to clean through and go through, but anyway. Okay, so you're going to do the other pocket the same way, and if you want to make sure that both of them are equal size, just place the first pocket you did on top, or place the other pocket on top of the first one that you did. And if you see that they're a little off, you can just match them up, you know, unfold one portion or fold another portion, and just make sure that it's all even. These are great overnight bags to make for your kids, or you know, to give away as gifts or anything like that. I love making these bags for Autumn's toys. She tends to take her toys, her and Cam actually, all over the house. And these are like great little bags that you can take when you're cleaning up and just throw all the toys in one bag. And it actually makes things a little bit neater. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. The kids were home on snow days, so you know, Autumn's been sick and she has been really clingy, so I'm losing my voice just a little bit. So now that we have our pockets turned, and both of mine are pretty much equal, and what I'm going to do now is just find here on my fabric where I want to place my pocket. And you want to think about the fact that you have to roll over the top portion of the bag as well. You're going to be sewing the bottom portion, so you want to have enough space when you place your pocket so that it's not too far up or too far down. So now that I have this place where I want it, I'm just going to go ahead and pin it. And once I'm ready to sew, I'm just going to do a straight stitch, nothing fancy. We're pretty much using a straight stitch for this whole project. So just get your, I'm just going to pin down my corners just because this fabric is not like a slippery fabric. It's very easy to sew. If you're in the more advanced level or intermediate level, you can, you don't even have to pin it. I'm just pinning it for tutorial purposes. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and place the second one on, and I'm going to try to make sure they're as even as possible when I go to place it. Yep, and it feels like it's in the same spot. And you don't have to use squares. I'm doing a basic square right now just to give you an idea. Like I said, I had a request for this tutorial, so I'm just doing a basic square, but there'll be some other tutorials coming in the summertime where I may have another tote that has a little shape to it. And this is kind of similar to the trick-or-treating bags I made. If you missed that tutorial, I did that back in October, and you can check that video out. But I'm going to do this just a little bit different at the bottom, so it's going to make it look like it has side panels. Okay, so now that we have that pinned on, we're just going to do a straight stitch. Remember not to sew the top part because this is our pocket, so we're just going to do a straight stitch all the way around, and then I'll show you how I attach my inside layer to the base of the tote. Okay, so now we're ready to sew our pocket on, and I actually have a lavender thread for my bottom bobbin, and I have the white here on the top, and this is just what I like to do. So we're going to sew on the top part of the pocket to go all the way around with our straight stitch. So when you get started, you want to make sure that you backstitch just to secure it. And like I said, we're just going to do a straight stitch all the way around. Make sure to take your pins out, and that one fell. I'll get it. Keep your fabric as straight as possible. Now, if you don't know how to go around corners, I'll show you. What I normally do is just lift that up. My needle is still down in there. All I'm going to do is just turn it around and lower my presser foot and continue to go around the pocket. So now that we're reaching the end, we're going to go ahead and do a back stitch just to secure that. So now we're done with our first pocket. And I like to do the pull test to make sure it's nice and secure. Just cut off the little hanging thread that you have. Okay? And then we're going to get started with the second pocket. So now it's time to put our front piece and our back piece together. I like to sew my linings together most of the time with the base. So what I'm going to do here is just, I already started one piece of this, and I just want to show you what we're going to do is we're going to take our strap, and we're going to have our lining piece right facing with our base piece. So we're going to have right sides together. So what you should have is the wrong side facing you. I'm going to take our ribbon here, and I'm going to lay it flat on both sides. And I'm actually going to sew my straps on the inside. So what you want to do, what I mean is I'm going to sew the portion that's not going to be on your shoulder on the inside. So this part is actually going to be on the outside. So what you should do is take the end piece of your ribbon or your canvas straps or whatever you're using and attach it to, and just lay it. I already have one piece done, so that's why I have all 4 pieces laying on top of each other. So right now, if you sewed your pocket on your base, you should be looking at your pocket, and I have the inside layer folded over just a little bit. So we're going to put our strap on the inside of this. So when we turn it right side out, our strap, all we have to do is pull our straps, and the bottom parts of the straps are sewn on the inside, just to make it look a little neater. That's just how I like to do. For this particular bag that I did, I actually sewed the straps on the outside. So now I'm going to bring my lining piece up. So again, I have right sides of each piece of fabric facing each other. So now I'm just going to pin. And when you sew this, you want to make sure that you leave an opening so that you can turn your tote bag right side out. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin this. And I have my straps about 3 inches from the ends. So I went in 3 inches and then I placed my straps. You can do 2 to 4, whatever is comfortable for you. So yeah, this is what it should look like. You should be looking at the wrong sides of your fabric and your strap. If you haven't pinned, it should be on the inside here. And I know my straps are just a little long, but that's how I like it. If you want to shorten your straps, you can cut it, or you can just put more of it on the inside and then trim it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish pinning this one, and if you want to see what this one looks like pinned, I already have this one pinned, and I'm just going to do a straight stitch all the way around, remembering to leave a space open so that we can turn this right side out. So now we're ready to sew, and again, like I said, I'm just going to do a straight stitch on mine. So you can start from anywhere you want to start sewing this, but you remember you have to leave an opening. So you know what, I'm just going to start from the side and just do a straight stitch all the way around. And I'm using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and reinforce that stitch by back stitching. And you can tell by lining up the fabric with the measurements on your sewing machine. So I actually decided that I'm going to leave my whole right side or left side, whatever you're looking at, of my fabric open, and this is how I'm going to flip it right side out. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch all the way across on my top. Remember to back stitch. And if your ribbon just isn't looking straight, you could go ahead and straighten that up before you stitch it. Now what I like to do is go over my strap at least 3 times. It just makes me feel comfortable, makes me know that it's a little bit more secure. Always remember to take your pins out. You don't want to stitch over your pins. So I'm going to turn this side right side out just so you can see what it looks like, and then I'll go ahead and finish my other piece. So you're just going to flip it out, and you're going to sew the 2 sides together once everything is done. Make sure to turn out your corners. And if you don't want to sew either side, just because we're going to be attaching both sides Normally what I do is just leave both sides open and just sew the top and the bottom and then stitch the two sides together. But you can do it this way, the way I did it today, or you can do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Make sure you always turn your corners out. Sometimes I use a little stick, but I can't find my stick, so far this is what it looks like, and my strap is pretty long, but that's okay because I can always do this. So this works out perfectly. Okay, and then we have our pocket. So we're done with that piece, and I'm going to get started with the other piece. Okay, so now that we have both our pieces here, what we're going to do, is, as you can see, I have the right sides facing each other. You want to iron it out. Just want to make sure it's all ironed out and all even. You don't have to, but this is just what I do. Of course, our straps are here. And now that we've sewn our straps together, what I'm going to do here is just sew our sides, and you won't need to do anything with the top because it's already nice and pretty because you've sewn the top part together. So basically what you're going to do is sew the sides and the bottom, and I'm going to pin mine, and then there'll just be one more step to do after we pin our sides and our bottom together, and I'll show you, and it'll make our tote bag look just like this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and pin the sides. Let's pin the bottom, just sew a straight stitch all the way around, and then we'll get to our last step. Okay, so now we're just going to stitch this thing together, and I am starting with my right side. We're just going to go all the way around. And like I said, you don't need to do the tops because you already kind of pillowcased it. So it already looks nice and neat. And I am doing a 5/8 seam allowance for this. You can do a 1/4 inch if you want. That's just what I'm doing. Now, like I said, always remember to back stitch. Take your pins out. And just keep going all the way around. Now that we're done, this is what it should look like. And my straps are really, really huge. I don't know why I did that, but anyway. This is what our tote looks like, and it's still on the inside. So before we turn it right side out, we're going to take the bottom and we're just going to kind of triangle it. And you want to make sure that you have the other side of it even. And you could just kind of lay it flat if you need to and just kind of iron it out. I'm going to fan my seams just a little bit just to make it look a little neater for me. And this is going to give us that boxy bottom without actually having to cut a bottom piece for it. And so now what it should look like is a triangle. So what we're going to do, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure it's all flat and even as possible. Okay, I'm going to just sew across the tip of it. Sew about, I want to say about 3 inches down. So mine is actually 2.5, and that's good, that's fine. So I'm just going to start. Put it in my sewing machine right where I have my pin. I'm going to take my pin out, of course, before I start to sew. And I'm just going to stitch it across. Make sure it's even as it goes across. And of course I forgot to back stitch. That's okay. Just go ahead and do that. And make sure you're getting it even across. do is just cut this part off. Don't cut too close to your seam, but cut enough to where the bottom of your bag isn't looking bulky. If you want to leave it, you can go ahead and leave it. It's just easier for me if I cut it. Makes it look a little neater. And I always keep my trash bag. So we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And we're just going to triangle this out. And if you're confused about any part of the tutorial, please let me know and I will explain any step to you that you need me to explain to you. Okay, and you can iron yours out. I'm just using my hand right now just because I turned my iron off. So yeah, make sure your fabric is nice and flat and even. Make sure both sides are the same because you want the bottom part of your bag to look nice and even. Okay, and like I said, I'm going about 2.5 inches from the top point. That's where I'm going to start to sew. I'm just going to put a little pin there so I know where I'm going. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing and just stitch across. Taking our pin out. And even though you're doing this and the bag is already together, you still want to reinforce your stitch. I'm trying to make sure that my front and my back is flat at the seam. Alright. Okay, and we are all done sewing. So I'm just going to cut this just like I did with the other side. Okay, now it's time to turn it right side out. Okay, so for some reason, the last bit of my video didn't get recorded, so you don't know what the bag looks like right now. So here's the bag, and from us turning it around, I mean, kind of triangulating our, I know that's the wrong term, but this is what the bottom of the bag looks like. So you can either add a piece of cardboard, just like take a piece of cardboard, stick it inside, cover that piece of cardboard with some fabric, preferably a fabric that you used to make the tote with. But what it does is it gives you that four-way effect without actually having to cut those single pieces like that. So we have our pocket on the front, and we have our pocket on the back, and I did go ahead and put a knot here in my straps because I cut them too long. So the other tip that I gave that didn't get recorded for whatever reason was probably don't cut your straps at 37 unless you just want them really long or you like the effect of tying a knot in it like that. I would suggest probably cutting around 20 to 22 inches for your straps on your bag. So this is actually what our bag looks like when we're done. And as always, if you have any questions, you could go ahead and ask those questions. Just leave it in the comments. I do have the website for the new, my new blog is up. That is just simply Nika Womack, and that is on my, in the description. I'm sorry, I'm totally lost right now, but all of that is in the description along with my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you like my videos, go ahead and press that little thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more. And that will be it for this tutorial for this week, and I will see you all next week.